You're the narrator. I'm just saying, let's talk. Let's get into buy it, rent it, profit.
Right, exactly.
Let's drop some knowledge. Rents due. Yeah. Boy, I love that music.
1 sec, man. I'm just gonna type this title in here.
Type it in, Nate. I love the pick. Y'all don't hear the piccolo player come in at the bench. Hold on. I bring that back. Y'all don't hear the piccolo player coming at the bench. Come on, lean back in your cotton little. You're deucing the quarter.
Right.
Wait for it. Listen to the piccolo player. Right. There he is.
A little tail on it.
Oh, yeah, the piccolo.
Oh man.
Yes, sir.
All right, we are live, bro. B, what's good, man?
Boy. What's good, Nate?
So you enjoying the new studio setup here, huh?
Man, the studio setup is, you outdo yourself. Every week we get a new, we got something new in the studio every week. So
Exactly.
it's always exciting to be in here. We're going to be in here now 3 days a week.
Yep.
Creating the content and doing the things necessary to bring the best and practitioner content.
Exactly.
Underline that word practitioner.
Practitioner content.
Because there's a difference between content that you've read on a blog or seen on the video and then you just regurgitate it.
That's true.
Versus somebody who's actually went out there and did it and then he's got something to say or he or she has something to say about it. So that's what I consider practitioner content.
Hey.
If you've been out there doing it, that's why I like listening to pro athletes when they talk about the game. When I'm having a conversation about basketball, now, basketball was a part of my life.
Right.
For a long period of time.
Yep.
Right? But when I'm in the presence of Chucky Atkins, who's a partner of ours in Chavis Capital, when I'm in the presence of Chucky, 14 years in the NBA, I don't do much talking. I do listening. That's a practitioner talking.
Exactly.
So his content, to me, is far more valuable than content that I'm going to get from a sports announcer that's never played.
Right.
But is regurgitating or giving their opinion. That's fine. I respect your opinion.
Yep.
But it's not like I'm going to listen to it. And I want to hear the perspective of an ex-player or someone who's actually played against Michael Jordan, played against Allen Iverson,
right?
Played with Kobe Bryant. I want to hear their perspective because that's a different perspective. That's a perspective of a practitioner.
Exactly.
And that content, that content can't be, what's the word? It's organic.
Correct.
It can't be, you can see through a lot of content out there, but you can always tell when a practitioner is talking.
Exactly.
Because that real life experience comes through. You can hear that. So that's why I say practitioner content.
There we go. Practitioner content. We got the apartment investor practitioner in the building.
Yes, sir.
Bryan Chavis.
Yes, sir. Good to be in the building.
Man, thank you for joining me, man. Once again, I'm just glad I get to pick your brain and get all this knowledge and become wealthy. So, man, what's going on in the state of property management this week, man? What have you been working on?
For ourselves, as a consultant, or for me, property management wise, just really it's just maintaining, operational systems, keeping things afloat out at Park Plaza, and pushing through the holiday season when things kind of slow down on the lease up side,
right?
So that is an opportunity to just make sure, and what I do, physicals, just kind of make sure that this is a time when it slows down, when the phones, are not ringing as often, to really focus on operations and making sure systems are in place. It's not like right now, focusing on, just simple things that you think are simple, but they really, make a big difference. Exactly. Cleaning out the maintenance shed, making sure everything is reorganized, because things over the year get sloppy.
Right.
It's all systemized in the beginning of the year. Then after, supplies are over here when they're supposed to be over here. This over here. This is the keys. Just making sure everything is organized, and so you just a lot of spring cleaning around this time because it's making sure everybody's staying focused on the operational side of things, and systems are, it's just the time to do a quick checkup.
Right. And I can imagine. I mean, as people listen to this podcast and they get to know you, Bryan, they're going to realize, we talk a lot about operations and the importance of systems, because you get a lot of people that are talking about how to acquire apartments which sounds exciting, and yeah, it is exciting. But once you actually get your hands on a multifamily property, you got to know what to do with it. We just were on a coaching call today, and you were talking about, people not necessarily knowing how to operate and manage, and I think
it's important.
Yeah,
it gets left out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I want to talk to you today about is the top 10 pitfalls that all apartment investors face. And I guess I don't want to talk to you about it. I want you to talk to our podcast listeners. I'm going to take you through one of my favorite parts of your book, Buy It, Rent, and Profit. And I want to break down these different 10 reasons, these pitfalls that landlords face. Because we don't want people getting in trouble with apartment investing and just really understanding what's important and what challenges they can face. And one of the top pitfalls that the apartment investors face, you said, was not continuing to educate yourself. Why is that important for people to focus on education?
Man, that's, my background in this industry, starting out leasing apartments, and then, being blessed to, and I don't even really know how it came about, but being in contact with the BAA used to hold a dinner meeting every Thursday. Okay. And so at the apartment communities that I worked for, mainly that went up to upper level staff and, assistant managers, maintenance supervisors, leasing agents and things never really got to go. But, I went a few times. I got to go, when others, said they couldn't make it. And I got to meet some individuals, and one of them was Nina Gang. And Nina used to run the Bay Area Apartment Association. And, back then there wasn't a lot of individuals leasing that looked like me, There weren't too many male leasing agents, number one. There weren't too many individuals, African American, in the industry. So I kind of was a unicorn back then, in that respect in the industry. I'm not saying that's why Nina took a liking to me, but she took a liking to me, and I developed a relationship and kind of, talked to me about, the importance of always continuously training and coming out to their events and learning. And so I did, and when I could, and, then eventually it led to me having opportunities to, to teach the CAM course, Certified Apartment Managers course. And so I started teaching certain segments in a Certified Apartment Manager course, and then that led to others that taught other sections of that course, because there was legal, maintenance, day-to-day operations, human resource, just, finance, just to name a few. So people started not showing up, and, Nina would call and say, hey, can you teach it? And eventually it got to the point where I was just teaching all modules, from legal to finance to, everything. Right. So I just started learning the importance of educating. And that's when I really started going, oh, wow, this is a business. Because until then, I was just exposed to the leasing part of things. Wasn't really exposed. So my thought process, and that's a whole different story of how we got started. We'll probably talk about that during the holiday when we, do some more personal stuff during the holiday season. But, then that got me thinking about, oh, wait a minute, this is a business, and start looking at it like a business that these people were making millions of dollars. At that point, I was playing basketball, just fresh out of playing basketball. So I thought I was going to make millions playing. Where I came from, you made millions either playing sports, or you were a rapper, you try to hit it big. There wasn't, or you were a drug dealer. There wasn't much the neighborhood had to offer other than those three things. So, you really didn't understand how others were building businesses and investing in real estate. That's when I got exposed. So education has always been important, because it opened my eyes to what was really going on, and what the type of real estate and the type of wealth that was being made in multifamily. And this is, the early 2000s. So education has always been that's been, you look at everything we've done, from Landlord Academy,
correct,
to coaching and consulting, Bryan Chavis Coaching and Consulting. Everything we do has an educational undertone to it. Our courses, the things we teach, are certified and approved for CE. It's been that's been huge for me to always make sure that, we offer CE, or continuing education. So education has always been big. I believe it levels the playing field. I never was fortunate enough to obtain a degree in finance, but that's not an excuse.
Right.
I was able to educate and train myself in finance and various different things by taking courses online and, so education has just always opened me up. And this for a fact. I'm a big, component of always learning.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's been important to me, education.
So education, not continuing to educate yourself is a pitfall that a lot of apartment investors can end up facing. Not following the proper investing systems, so landlording systems, property management systems. Why is that a pitfall for some people? Why did you put that in the book as one of the pitfalls?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll liken it to businesses and franchises.
Okay.
So why do most businesses fail before they get out of infancy stage, which is the year 1 to year 5.
Right.
Most fail. And most franchises continue to succeed because a franchise has a franchise way of doing business. There's a business model. There's systems in place. That is the idea behind a franchise, is that you can take the systems and move them and put them anywhere, and the people who come in contact with them will achieve a certain amount of goals because the operating systems identify the work that needs to be done and tell the user then how to go about performing that work, creating consistency.
Okay.
When you have consistency, you then have profitability. You see what I'm saying? So that's why the franchise model works. And it doesn't matter. You go into any McDonald's, and you see 15 and 16-year-olds. One of the most, McDonald's is no longer the gold standard.
Right.
Chick-fil-A, whatever it may be. But you go to successful franchises and you see the business, the day-to-day operations is run by kids.
True. Yeah, very true.
Children. And so people go, oh, man, my business is suffering. I'm going to have to close the doors, or this is not working. The most successful businesses are run by children, day-to-day operations. You go to Starbucks, you see young people running the most successful businesses. So it tells you that business's success are not necessarily hinged on how smart you are, how old or young. It's really about the operations. If you can systemize the operational aspects of your business, and a business is separated into 2 systems, hard systems and soft. Hard systems are the procedures manuals. Soft systems are the software. Like when you go into that Chick-fil-A, you'll see the software that they punch in to put the orders in. Soft systems. Hard systems are, this is how you dress, this is how you act, this is how you approach. So, in leasing, this is how you deal with prospect tenants. This is how you handle move-in. This is how you handle day-to-day operations. This is how you handle maintenance. So understanding that, the systems will identify the work that needs to be done, then tell the user how to go about performing that work, creates that consistency. And that is, for me, that is probably, the single-handedly the most important part of running an apartment multifamily portfolio.
Okay.
Or any rental portfolio, Nate.
Right, exactly. Okay, so educating yourself, not following the proper systems, so we want to make sure we have proper systems. So I hear all of these people talking about analyzing deals. You're probably the only person I ever hear talking about this, and you said this is a pitfall that apartment investors make. Not following fair housing laws as they apply to rental properties. Why is that a pitfall? Well,
when you think about it, and again, if you really understand the industry, you'll know that there's 2 places you get sued when you own and operate properties: fair housing and security deposit claims. Those are areas that find you in court the most. So you just want to make sure that that you understand what there's how many. Again, you got a lot of people out here. A lot of us out here talking but how many people can say, hey, let me tell you, race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, persons with disability, how many people know the 7 protected classes under the Civil Rights Act of 1968 and are able to spit them and then tell you how they're applicable to the multifamily industry, what you can and cannot do when you show rental units. That's practice. That is content.
Right.
That's what we need to know, because when you own a property, you have to lease it. It doesn't lease itself. You can put it on Zillow and do all that. Somebody still is going to call you and inquire about that property. Do you know that as soon as you pick up that phone, you're subject to being sued? If someone disagrees, or you don't rent to a person and they're like, oh man, I feel like why didn't you rent to me? Is it because I'm African American? Is it because I'm a single mother? Whatever it may be. Is it because I'm Hispanic? Is it because I'm white? Whatever.
Right.
If you don't have a rebuttal, you don't have qualifying criteria that was put in place to prove that you're consistently screening and treating everyone the same way. If it's just, well, no, I didn't violate. I didn't violate that person's fair housing rights. Well, the judge is going to say, well, how can you prove that? They're saying you did. And again, most people can lie better than you can tell the truth. So if there's nothing in writing that shows that you've consistently done something, and on top of that, before you ever find yourself in fair housing law, okay, because I've been to court thousands of times. I'm telling you what I heard.
Right.
I'm telling you what I know.
Yep.
So, and I know they can lie better than you can tell the truth, most people. So you have to rely on your systems, number 2.
Okay.
So the judge is going to say, well, what proof do you have? So you have to provide proof. Because another thing is when you get brought in for fair housing violations, they're going to send testers several times to see. So if there is no consistency in the way you show that unit, and there is no qualifying criteria that are getting everyone to sign, you've left yourself open to that particular person, the validation of that individual's indictment against you and your company, basically saying you've violated my laws. The judge is going to ask whatever agency is sent to test you.
Right.
What findings do you have? Yeah, Your Honor, we called 4 or 5 times. He answered, and each showed the unit differently each and every time. We baited them in certain things, and there was inconsistency all the way across the board. That leaves the door wide open to that claim being accepted. So you have to really understand, what you're getting yourself into. Understanding multifamily is not just about underwriting and finding great markets and finding. You got to know that, and also about just pushing that off to third party, property managers. A couple of things about that before we move on down this list.
Absolutely.
Number one, not all of us are going to be able to invest in a 200-unit apartment complex. Let's just put that out there right now, okay? Not everybody. I know you go to the camps, everybody's reading the same books, and everybody has aspirations to take down a large portfolio, institutional grade asset. But a lot of us are going to start smaller. A lot of our listeners, a lot of our clients, our coaching clients start with duplexes, quads, 8-unit, 10, whatever, and work their way up. So understanding that these are the areas that, you have to really shore up, and understanding that property management and asset management are the key is important, because these are the areas you're going to be challenged in. Fair housing and security deposit claims. And so if you have no systems in place, ultimately your argument of, I didn't say that, Your Honor, that, she's lying, he's lying, that's not going to hold up in court. You got to have the systems to be able to prove.
All right, so I'm loving it, man. I mean, so let's give them some more pitfalls, so people don't end up getting their butt kicked after they get out of the boot camp and go buy that 200 unit that they thought they were going to get 20% returns on. So another pitfall that you put into place, you said not understanding how to screen tenants. Why? Where do people get in trouble with that, and why is that a pitfall?
Well, it's a pitfall because it starts with the tenant. So once they move in, there's a myriad of issues that could happen if you're not properly screening. So, when you hear owners talk about high turnover, high delinquency, it automatically, to me, points to issues that we may have in the qualifying criteria and the issues that we may have in the screening process. Who are you inviting in? Who is your prospect tenant? What are their demographics and psychographics? How much do you know about them? You can tell me all the. Again, there's millions of videos that will tell you how to analyze a property.
Right.
How many people are talking about how to analyze the prospect tenant, the demographics and psychographics? What makes up 99.9% of net operating income? Rent. I'll give you the rent.
Rent.
Who pays rent?
People pay rent.
People pay rent, not buildings.
Right.
But the focus is always on the building, and underwriting and how to do that. All important, but not the most important aspect. The most important aspect is the prospect tenant and the demographics and psychographics of that prospect tenant, understanding who you're dealing with, who you're catering to. So your qualifying criteria sets you up for that. So you're able to attract the right type of prospect tenant. And you're eliminating half of the problems when you can bottleneck that process and get the tenants in. I'd rather have 2 qualified tenants versus 15 non-qualified. I remember my property manager teaching me that years ago. It's not how much the phone rings, Brian. We want the phone ringing with the right type of individual coming. Right. We don't care about the door traffic. We care about being able to have the right message, because back then you had to deal with a lot of print ad. It was all about print ad, and just throwing it up on Zillow and, kind of, like this microwave kind of process. Back then you had to work for your leads.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, I remember, we don't care if our leads push in a lot of people and a lot of door traffic or a lot of phone calls. We want the leads to push in the right type of a prospect tenant. So that's the key, is really understanding who your prospect tenant is, because it starts there. You can reduce delinquency.
Okay.
You can reduce turnover. A lot of that stems directly from the very beginning and understanding how to set up that qualifying criteria.
Hey, that makes sense. So not understanding how to screen tenants, not following fair housing laws, not following proper systems, and not continuing to educate yourself. Another one that you listed was not using a well-written lease.
Mm-hmm.
Where do people get in trouble with this?
Not using a well-written lease. Yeah. So, just downloading leases are really not having leases that protect you.
Right.
If you can, you can read through my books. I'm one of the only books that have given you a full library, an index, a library of all of the systems,
right,
all the forms that one needs to run a successful property management business.
Right.
So in there, if you really read through the lease, and that's what I'm trying to get my coaching clients to do, is really read through these forms, because when you read through these forms, you're really going to have a true understanding of the business. These leases were developed to protect an individual, because the greatest protection in multifamily, because again, the areas where you're going to get sued are typically going to be, the relationship between a tenant and the management.
Right.
So having well-written leases in place kind of, eliminates a lot of the issues one may have when it comes to that relationship between tenant and owner. And so having a well-written lease is really the greatest line of asset protection known to the property itself. You can have all the asset protection, joint tenants in common owning the property, and land trusts and all that. But I argue, and I say this, I feel the greatest protection to any investment is a good rental investment is a good solid lease. Starts there. You can then get cute with the asset protection, tenants in common, and land trust. You can then take it there. But the number one area where you're avoiding getting sued, period, is making sure you have a well-written lease, because most of those attorneys are going to look at that and go, "No, did you sign this? Yeah, no, this is going to be hard to argue against."
I love it, man. I mean, this is helping me really understand the depth of it beyond, once again, like you said, just evaluating properties, evaluating deals.
No, that's what happens when we're trying to get you to avoid being sued.
What are you trying to drop there?
I was trying to drop a bomb.
Oh, you want to drop a bomb?
It was at this moment.
Well, we're gonna have to cycle through all that. Yeah, clearly, we gotta start labeling our buttons.
We'll label our buttons. So, let's see here, man. Another one that you listed was not conducting a market survey every 3 months, every 1 to 3 months. So why is it important to conduct market surveys on your property?
That's a good one. Why conduct market surveys? I mean, we're all chasing yield.
Yep.
So, let's look at it from syndication to private owner. As a syndicator, we're all chasing yield. We're all chasing value, our income, because we know that's how primarily we're going to get paid on the back end in a waterfall structure.
Got it.
Okay. So understanding what you can charge in rent and where the market is, and understanding that you're always trying to push the rents, increase value, pay down expenses, increase the net operating income, is how you're going to get paid as a syndicator. That's how you add value to the property, increasing net operating income.
Okay.
So understanding and having your finger on the pulse of the rental market is how else are you supposed to know where values are unless you're constantly doing your market survey? And then also as a private independent owner, you're not worried about a waterfall structure. You're more so worried about your returns, making sure you're meeting your return matrix that you've set up for yourself as a property owner. That's how else are you supposed to do that if you're not keeping your finger on the pulse? Because really, you want to either be setting the market or right there at market, depending on your product. But, you have to have an understanding of where the value is, is the market softening? Because if you're doing constant market surveys, you're able to then look at historicals and current values and be able to also maybe even predict and start looking at that and maybe, hey, man, I noticed that by looking at our rent rolls and looking at our vacant units, they've been on the market a little longer. I noticed that, Some of our units that we got at market rent are sitting a lot longer. So you might be able to pick up on some signals that are happening in the marketplace and get an idea of your prospect tenants, where they are. It's like a heat check, like where they are right now. Are rents softening? Are they, if they are, again, by understanding and doing your market research, you're able to, in your market surveys, you're able to kind of predict and forecast. Or, like things have been, for me, it's like, no, I this firsthand. I feel we can continue to push rents at Park Plaza. So where am I getting at? Am I just like walking out and going, all right, let's just test.
Right.
Right. Oh man, it's a little cold today. Oh, my joints in my knee are aching, so that means I might want to, raise rents. I mean, where am I pulling the stuff out of? No, exactly. I'm doing the research. I'm doing the market surveys. I'm looking at my data, looking at how long the units are sitting on the market, looking at the vacant, how long they're sitting vacant, between leases.
Yep.
And you're pulling that data and extracting the important information, and then you're forecasting.
I love it, man. And listeners, I mean, when you're listening to this, if you have investments currently, you're working with property managers, they're not bringing you market surveys, they're not following these types of protocols, you need to reconsider your property management companies because
I'll go a step further.
Go ahead,
Nate. If they haven't presented you with a management plan in the beginning before they shove a contract in front of you, a property management contract in front of you, if they haven't presented a management plan saying this is how we're going to manage your asset, this is how we're going to grow your value, first 3 months, 6 months, and then the first year, then I question whether or not I question the validity of the management company in itself.
Absolutely. And make sure you visit bryanchavis.com to find a reputable management company. So another pitfall that you listed was not properly maintaining your property. What are some issues that you've seen with other property managers, other apartment investors? Where do they get in trouble with not maintaining their property?
Got to stay, and this is before Yelp,
Yep.
So just making sure you maintain maintenance, and I know it can get hard for some owners because if you overpaid, for a property and the market softens a little bit, you're over leveraged. I get it. There may not be enough income, but you really, and that's why underwriting is important. But yeah, I get it. But ultimately, you really need to make sure that come hell or high water, that you're maintaining your property, you're maintaining curb appeal, you're maintaining the major issues that may happen, the plumbing, the electrical. You want to just make sure you're staying up on maintenance.
Yep.
With your rental units, you're responding to. Because I think they say 87%. Why 87% of most individuals renew? That maintenance plays a major role in their decision whether or not to renew with you as a property. So, I think that's it's important and really important for owners and property managers, asset managers to realize that maintenance is huge when it comes to, why individuals want to stay with you or why they want to leave.
Love it. So yeah, make sure you're maintaining your properties. Here's a little gem out of the book. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And you put that not building the proper team and proper network infrastructure is a pitfall that people can, face. And how does that get people into trouble?
Man, just, I've always said, if you're the smartest person on your team is in trouble.
Right.
I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing here.
Yep.
If it weren't for you. I wouldn't be doing a lot, not alone just in here, if it weren't for you. So having the right type of people around you is important. I mean,
right.
we had a meeting, we might call it an owner's meeting. You
right,
know what
right.
I mean? We had a meeting, before. It's like, Bryan, there's so many people that want to get at you nowadays. You're actually a filter. Having a good team and having people around you who care about you.
Yep.
And can help you get to that next level is really important. I think that's why we started the Multifamily Matrix.
Exactly.
It's really, for me, it's the most important thing. If you don't have a great team, because sometimes if you lean on your own understanding and you lean on your own knowledge
right.
and your own wisdom, you're going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people succeed leaning on their own understanding, on their own wisdom. And you can be as, I'll say it, You can be an expert in the industry like me. Just because you're an expert in property management doesn't mean you're going to be an expert in developing a property management business or a great consulting company. I mean, you know, there's things that people that you have to bring into your ecosystem that are going to help you get to the next level and level up. So just understanding that if you're the smartest person on your team is in trouble, and that you've got to surround yourself with great mentorship. And, you know, problem is, you know, a lot of people don't want to pay for a great mentorship. A lot of people don't want to take time to listen to podcasts. A lot of people don't want to take time to take online training courses and things of that nature. And so if you're not really, you know, insulating yourself around a good team and just understand a lot of the individuals, a lot of stuff you guys see, I don't want to call out no names right now, but a lot of individuals and things you see on social media, people standing in front of jets and zipping here and zipping there. I mean, come on, people, for real. You know, I don't get involved with politics. I don't get involved. We don't shoot, you know, any of that. You know, I just talk about what I know, not what I heard. But come on, people. You know, you sitting there and you're, you know, come on, people.
Right.
I mean, listen. You know, just understand that where you get your information. One of the richest man in Babylon, I forgot one of the 5 laws of gold talks about, you know, those who got some money and want to invest it and put it in with, you know, people with ideas, and they see, you know, other, you know, the jewel merchant. You know what I mean? You know, he wants to put his money with this person, that person. Be careful, man. I mean, when you have the opportunity to invest in yourself, you invest in people that you know what they're talking about. They have a track record, you know. Just be careful when you do develop that team, who you're bringing in. Just make sure that each and everybody, you know, is you know, is reputable. You know, and don't be fooled by all of the, I want, you know, the jets. I think that's fun too, but there's a place for that.
Of course.
You know, there's a time and a place for that.
Of course. So obviously not building the proper team and network infrastructures can really get you into trouble. Another one you listed in here was not enforcing your rules or regulations. And I like the little piece out of here. Are you running the property or is the property running you? So not enforcing your rules and regulations, how's that get apartment investors in trouble?
That gets 85% of them in trouble, Nate, because, you know, that's why we came out with apartment rescue. Right. You know, because, people get involved with this business, especially under 80 units.
Right.
Where you're getting into a lot of the private owners, and, you know, you're getting into the smaller non-institutional grade assets where it's like the owner operator type of situation. You know, they have no idea about systems. They have no idea about, you know, how to systemize the business. They just read a book, went out and bought real estate because they figured it was a great investment, you know, and jumped in. And, you know, rules and regulations, you make that up as you go.
Right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes the tenants are making up the rules, right?
Yeah.
You know, and the landlord is following, you know, so the tail is wagging the dog.
Right.
So yeah, you know, you have to have the rules in place. You know, I had a situation just recently, right? You know, let's spit on it, right? I'm a practitioner, right? Well, I don't know if you know this story. The person, you know, rules are rules. We just had someone pass away.
Right.
Okay, at Park Plaza. The mother's upset because I deducted from the security deposit, right? To apply towards the balance that's owed. They thought they were going to get tenant passed away. Right. You know, number one, you don't. The mom was like, you know, where's the security deposit? Number one, you don't get the security deposit. Yeah. You know, the argument was, well, I talked to my attorney. I don't personally owe you anything because I didn't co-sign. Okay, great. But she wanted the security deposit. She was asking, well, why did you apply the security deposit? What do you want me to do with the security deposit? I want the security deposit. Well, wait a minute. If you're not liable to pay the debt, how are you in position to receive the security deposit? It don't work that way. And just because your daughter died, sad as it may be, unfortunate as it may be, this is a business. Of course, I applied the security deposit to the balance because the balance wasn't, you know, it wasn't fulfilled. You owe I could have actually kept charging you until I re-rented the unit. You know, the tenant themselves, even though they pass, of course, it's bad debt. We know that. But if there was a co-signer or if there was a trust, we could have went after that. You know, I just write it off the bad debt. I wrote off the balance to bad debt and continue to write it off until the unit's released. But at the end of the day, it's a business. It's like there's rules and regulations. And so, if and it's unfortunate because we're talking about a death, but at the end of the day, man, rules are rules. And in life and in death, a contract is a contract.
That's true.
So, that's kind of an example of, it's like, I don't deviate from the rules and regulations, Nate. This is a great opportunity. I don't know if our listeners are really listening to what I'm saying. This is a great opportunity. If there was any opportunity to say, right, you know what, maybe I need to lax on my rules and regulations. Someone passed away. But you can see here, this is a management decision. When you bring that to me as the property manager, you're like, oh man, well, Bryan, what do you think we should do? And I start seeing weakness in management and leasing agents. I'm like, hey, listen, I understand it's sad that the person passed away, but we got bills to pay.
That's true.
Are we who's gonna pay our bills? Are we gonna be able to sing that sad song to the bank or to the to the light man when it comes time to pay our common area lights?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Hey, and that actually comes to the final pitfall: not treating landlording as a business, not treating apartment investing as an actual business.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a side hobby; it's not a side hustle. This is an actual business. Why do people find themselves getting in trouble with that?
Yeah, I think it. Why do entrepreneurs in themselves find themselves in trouble with this? Mm-hmm. Again, I liken it to franchise versus a regular business.
Right.
Just because you're a great plumber doesn't mean you're going to run a great plumbing business. Just because you're a great writer doesn't mean you're going to, you understand where I'm going. Absolutely. Just because you're a great electrician doesn't mean you're going to be able to open up an electrician company. So, you can be a great practitioner, but running a business is a business. There's a lot of hats that have to be worn. There's a lot of systems that have to be created. Not just, because I'm a great electrician or I'm a great plumber, I'm going to have a ton of clients. Here's the problem when you have a ton of clients. You're going to be a great plumber is still a great plumber with 5 clients. When they get into 10 to 15 to 20 clients, that's when you begin to see the great plumber not become a great entrepreneur or a great business person. He or she, you're going to start to see things fall out because the one thing that's going to be their undoing is their success.
Man,
you see what I'm saying? That success is going to be your undoing because as long as you got something that's manageable, 4 or 5 clients, you can still be a great plumber. But at 10, 15, 20, 25, 45 clients, you not only have to be a great plumber and keep up that quality of being a great plumber, now you got to be a great a sales rep. Right? Now you got to be great on follow-up. Now you got to be a great accountant, bookkeeper. You see where I'm going?
Absolutely.
Now it can't just rely. Now we may never get a chance to really understand how great of a plumber you are because you ain't answering your phones.
Right.
And then when you're answering, because you're out, you're plumbing, you're answering the phones, and then so people are on Yelp now and they're saying, hey, I called this company, this guy never answers us back, blah, blah, so on and so forth. So, being great at something doesn't necessarily mean you're going to run a great business. We all, Nate, make a better hamburger than McDonald's.
Exactly.
But we all ain't selling 5 million hamburgers a day.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? Yep. It doesn't matter that you're great at what it is you do. And I had to realize that it doesn't matter how great at what it is you do. I have more knowledge and I have more understanding of this. It doesn't matter. You have to, you have to understand entrepreneurship, and there's a lot more to it than just being a great practitioner.
Absolutely. And once again, B, thank you so much for sharing all of these with us. I'm sure all the listeners can appreciate it. There's so many things that can go on in your life and in your business, but by having these types of things in place, they really do help you to, plant your feet in the ground and actually run your business like a business, no matter what's happening.
Absolutely, bro.
Follow your criteria. I love it, man. B, man, yeah, thank you so much. I mean, once again, all this evaluating deals, all of the, locating target areas. If you don't master these areas, you're gonna find yourself in trouble, man. So
yeah, absolutely. And we're not saying those things are not important. They're very important.
Absolutely. But
we're saying that's just one aspect. I'll leave. There's 5 phases.
Yep.
Acquisition, implementation, stabilization, growth, and then the exit strategy. Those are the 5 phases of investing in multifamily. Just because it's not enough just to know the acquisition phase. You got to know the implementation, then the stabilization, then understanding how to grow that investment, whether that be into a refi or sale, and then what your exit strategy is to move those proceeds into another. So I mean, you have to be a master of all 5 phases, not just 1 or 2.
Right, I love it, man. And we're just laying the foundation here in the beginning of our podcast. This is probably one of our 8th. This is our 8th episode, I believe. So, yep.
Hey.
Man.
Don't despise humble beginnings.
Right, exactly. But D, we're gonna get more into your life moving forward, and
some this holiday
pitfalls.
Season.
But for this one, I wanted to start laying down the foundation. What are some of the things that get people in trouble?
Yeah.
Once again, B, just thank you for your wealth of knowledge and spending time with me once a week, man, to really just share this. And listeners, when you guys are on the podcast, please leave us a review. Please leave your questions as well, because we want to make this interactive. We want to be able to answer your questions. We want you to participate in this show, and we wouldn't really be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Absolutely.
So, once again, B, thank you so much for joining us, man. I look forward to talking with you next week, brother.
Yeah, man. We'll see you guys, and just a couple of real quick things before we go. Definitely, please subscribe and share. Number 1, if you love it, please subscribe and share. Number 2, we've got the Multifamily Matrix. Please, if you want to join the coaching consulting family and get involved with that ecosystem, please reach out to us. And our sponsors, we're going to be coming up in January real quick, back to the apartment syndication social.
Yep.
So I just put something out on social media where we're saying, hey guys, if you're interested in being a sponsor. So if you have a business, you're trying to get in front of investors or property owners, you've got a carpet cleaning company, electrician, you're a carpenter, whatever it may be. If you're a title company, the list goes on and on. If you're trying to get in front of individuals that are, in this space, please reach out to us. We're going to be doing our apartment syndication social every single month. We're looking for partners. You can find out more information. I'll also post a link to this Facebook video and then into our YouTube channel. Please join us, and then keep an eye out this May. I think the date's maybe May 23rd, which is a Saturday. We're going to be coming out with Buy It, Rent It, Profit Live. There'll be a lot more about it. Nate's gonna, I'll let Nate unveil that. But Buy It, Rent It, Profit Live is going to be, I promise you, hands down, the best multifamily conference, period, in the story. Not just because I'll be there and certifying people in asset management, property management, underwriting, syndication, but the speakers that we're bringing in, people from the high levels of the industry, top CEOs. I mean, it's going to be it's going to be it's going to be epic. So
Absolutely.
2020 guys, please, again, just we love for you to be a part of it.
Love it. B, once again, thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. See you next Thursday.
Take care.
All right.